There are so many ways to put a sustainable meal on the table that not only sustains you, but also sustains our oceans. In this recipe for basil kelp penne pasta with little bits of salmon sausages, we're going to do just that. We're going to start off actually with these delicious Kvaroy Arctic salmon hot dogs. And I know that may seem strange. I mean, you could use a vegetarian hot dog if you wanted, made out of tofu. You could use a chicken sausage like Adele's, but I love using these. They're made with 100% sustainable raised salmon, and it's one of my favorite farms. And the texture of them, they're just like a hot dog, but they're soft enough to be able to saute up into a really nice kind of almost giving body to the inside of this baked pasta. So what I want to do is just cut these lengthwise. You can use the original flavor. And then I'm going to cut the other one lengthwise. And I want to just cut them into little cubes. And I'm going to saute these just because I like them to get a little bit crispy, a little bit brown. Remember that when we bake a pasta, we're not going to have any other opportunity for the ingredients to do other than steam inside the baked dish. So now that I have these evenly chopped, let's go ahead and saute some onion and some garlic along with these. And the trick here is that we want to take a little bit of olive oil, and we don't have to get these vegetables overly soft because remember, they've still got a little bit of baking to do in the oven. Now, in the meantime, you're also going to want to cook your pasta. And the trick with this pasta is to get the water nice and salty, salty like the sea. And let me show you which pasta I'm going to use because this is very special. This is Blue Evolution kelp pasta, which means that it's made with kelp along with some semolina flour. It really does have this kind of salty, very, very like vegetative flavor from the sea. But you're also doing good for your future, as they say, growing a better future by using a sustainable, regenerative ingredient like kelp. So make sure you get some of that cooking. You can find it at blueevolution.com. Along with, I'm going to put some onions in the pan, and I've just, basically all I've done is just evenly diced these, you can see, along with a little bit of garlic. And we only want to get this just warming through. We don't need to have it get overly soft. And I also want to add those Kvaroy Arctic salmon dogs. Now remember, you can even crumble these if you wanted to with your hands so that it doesn't have quite such a uniform size. But we want to just start to get that soft. I'm going to lower the heat, and we're going to go back and we're going to get our other ingredients ready. So in the meantime, what I've got is that kelp pasta. And you can see, gosh, it almost looks like spinach pasta, doesn't it? But the flavor of it is so fantastic. And when you add that salt, you're really getting that kind of flavor of the ocean in it. But the thing is it's going to come off like you've just added vegetables to the pasta. And the next thing I'm going to do is put in some chopped tomato. Now these tomatoes, and I've always talked about this, but you could use a Mere Glen tomato, which is an organic tomato that's grown in Colorado. I actually like to use an Italian tomato because it has less acidity than other tomatoes that you're going to use. So we're going to add that in. I'm also going to add in a mixture of parsley and fresh basil. It's going to give us a really beautiful kind of rich flavor to this. And then the creaminess is going to come from a little bit of whole milk ricotta. Now this you can kind of add as much as you would like or as little as you would like, but you'll see how easily this kind of folds together to give this pasta some richness. I'm going to go ahead and add the rest. It's about, you can use between a cup and a cup and a half. And again, I like to use the whole milk because we're not adding a lot of other fat to this dish. We just want to fold it in along with some Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. The Parmigiano Reggiano cheese is going to go in half of it is going in the bowl, and then half of it is going to be sprinkled on the top of this. So you can see it starts to get creamy. I'll take half of my Parmesan and I'll add that in. Now this is the point where we're going to add our vegetables. So let's go check those out. Make sure they're getting nice and soft. Just starting to warm through and start to sweat. We'll add that salmon in along with the onions. And this really isn't something that you have to do too much with. You can actually just let that start to get soft, and then you'll fold it in. And then the last ingredient in this delicious dish is chunks of fresh mozzarella cheese. So now I'm going to take those chunks of mozzarella and I'm just going to sprinkle them over the mixture. You can imagine that this gets cool relatively quickly and it starts to melt the cheese even before we put it in the oven. So what you want to do is preheat your oven to 375 degrees. Look at that. I mean, it's beautifully combined. You can taste it. You may decide that you want a few dashes of Tabasco, which is my preference, is just to have that beautiful flavor start to come out. Remember that a spicy seasoning like Tabasco brings out the flavors of the tomatoes, the cheese, even that salmon, without making it too spicy. A little bit of salt and pepper. And then I'm going to divide this up because I'm cooking for my husband and I, and there are two of us. So I don't need to make a great big one. So what I want to do with this is divide it in half. So I'm going to take this mixture, take half of it, and put it into the pan. It's a little bit heavy. Just 1 second. There we go. And then I'll save the rest. I'll put maybe that into a foil container or into another baking dish and pop it in the freezer, believe it or not. And then the last piece of this is just to sprinkle it with the Parmesan and bake it for about half an hour to 45 minutes. When it's done, you get this delicious gooey pasta. It's got richness to it from the ricotta. We've got great vegetables from the sea. The perfect ingredient for the Sea Pantry, our Blue Evolution pasta, and you're ready to go. A delicious, nutritious dinner, but something that is helping regenerate our oceans and helping you stock that Sea Pantry.